Our Shannon Moore is with us. She has the distinction of being called out by name by Governor Sarah Palin over the weekend and threatened with a lawsuit. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tom.
I should add that your blog is Shannon SHANNYN Moore MOORE.wordpress.com. Easily Googled, and also that you're blogging over at Huffington Post and whatnot. Shannon, in today's Financial Times, the lead editorial, Palin's demise and the Republican fall. They say her rambling statement offered no rationale for this strange decision. The lack of coherent organizing logic behind her actions and words has given rise to suspicions that this move could be a gambit to head off fresh scandal. Is she going to sue the Financial Times?
That's a curious question. I don't know. I'm not sure really why she threatened to sue me, even considering how much had been written about her out there. And basically, all I had done is said that her resignation wasn't making sense to Alaska and basically waking up old rumors.
Yeah.
Of an iceberg scandal, which had been rumored for quite some time. So my point was just that it's not making sense to Alaskans, whether they are supporters of her and they've been defending her as her numbers decline, or whether they've been, wishing she would resign for a long time.
What's the basis of the rumor, Shannon?
Well, this is Alaska. There's so many rumors, and I basically just said that there were rumors of this iceberg scandal. And different websites had posted, iceberg scandal coming, and that had been there for a long time. And so, and for some reason, one of the things that was picked up was a story that had run last October by the Village Voice that was posted regarding the Westhill Sports Complex and the rumors that had been around for years and years about some sort of misdealings between the Palins building their house and the sports complex.
Right.
So I've never run this story on my own website.
Interesting.
Other people have, and that was one of the things that got picked up.
So she should go after the Village Voice. My theory on this, and reality check this with me, as a private citizen, she can, as an A-list celebrity in the United States, celebrity actually has incredible value, and she is an A-list celebrity right now. She can book with a speakers bureau and pull easily probably $50,000 a shot to give speeches. And she could disguise those speeches as fundraisers, and in fact they could be fundraisers, but the first 50,000 raised goes to her. If she does 20 of those a year, that's $1 million a year.
Right.
And if she spends the next 2 or 3 years doing 20 or 30 or 40 of these fundraising, she could even do 50, 60, 70 of them. She can do 2 or 3 a day if she's good at it. And I'm thinking, here she is. She's 45 years old. She's not wealthy. She's, her home was built by her husband and some friends, and there's some question about the provenance, I guess, of the building materials. But they don't have many resources, and she clearly didn't like being governor. She refused to go to Juneau.
Right.
So maybe she's just bailing out. She's going to try over the next 5 years to put $10-20 million in the bank, do a George Bush thing, and say I'm just going to get rich in my old age.
Yeah, that very well may be the case, but it's interesting. Like, she's going to have to do a better speaking job if they're paying her $50,000 than she did on the banks of Lake Lucille the other morning.
Yeah. But when she shows up, but see, that's Alaska. When she shows up in Indiana and she's got a teleprompter and she's got 20,000 people standing there, and there's a lot of money, by the way, in the Right to Life movement, which is her base, the base of her base.
Right.
I think she can do very, very well out there. Now,
there's no doubt, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that, she's very magnetic. She gets people going. She draws a crowd. She could raise a huge amount of money for herself and for whatever causes she picks. I just think that it's really disappointing to certainly not my. I'm not extremely disappointed that she won't be our governor at the end of the month. I think she's done a miserable job. But to people that voted for her, campaigned for her, called their friends and families all over the country, donated money to her, they're kind of looking at each other in Alaska right now like, what?
Right.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well,
you're just gonna quit?
that's why I think this is not a bid for higher office. I think that this is a bid to cash in. She's going to she's got her 15 minutes of fame right now, and she's going to stretch that out. And you know, I mean, Rupert Murdoch's going to give her a couple $1 million for a book, and presumably, and if it sells well, certainly she'll make a couple $1 million. And she's got. I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. Now, my understanding of the rumor about the house, my understanding from what the Village Voice was writing, was that here's this little town of 7,000 people with Silla that had never had a big project before, and she basically bankrupted the town as mayor by borrowing $13 million or something like that, and giving the money to this contractor that was in tight with her and Todd. Contractor built the sports arena. Same time, she and Todd and a couple of Todd's buddies are building this, what I guess it's a $700,000 house she has now on this beautiful lake nearby. And it looks like the material used to build her house is the exact same stuff that was being brought in for the sports complex. And maybe some of it was like surplus or left over or just happened to vanish in the middle of the night. Am I characterizing that particular rumor in a way that is consistent with the way it's been described by others?
Well, that's pretty much what came out last October, and that was sort of a local Wasilla rumor. I never covered it, and they had put in pictures, I think, of her house and pictures, showing windows, and and it was the same, and it didn't take any grab, and it went on. But there are websites specifically designed for trying to debunk her maternity of her child. I mean, there are so many rumors out there. And you look at last week, the Vanity Fair piece. Why weren't they named in some sort of lawsuit?
Right.
Oh wait, they have a bank of attorneys. Yeah. So I'm thinking about your theory, Thom, and I think you're a very clever man, as do most. And I'm starting to think of this like in a timeline over the last couple weeks of really ramping up her visibility with the Letterman scenario.
Right.
Even like, what is the saying? Even bad press is good press. Or
That's
whatever.
right. Yeah, P.T. Barnum. Just as long as they spell my name right.
Right. And so, sort of ramping this up, and then, she went to Kosovo. She did some interesting things that week that Michael Jackson died that probably would have put her even more into the spotlight. So, totally possible, but hopefully at the end of the day, Alaskans will start,
so it's totally possible that
recovering.
she's just cashing out here.
Yeah, but you know what? I wish she would just say that.
Yeah.
I wish she would just say...
she's not going to say, hey, this is my chance to put $20 million in the bank and Todd and I can retire at the age of 50. Instead, what she could say, and I think she effectively did say, is that she'll now be free to go around the country and raise money for the, largely for the anti-abortion groups or for the candidates, the right to life candidates that she's simpatico with.
Well,
and it's not uniquely that, but that seems to be like I said, I think that's the base of her base. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it is. It's the very anti-choice. And then the same sort of people that have this fundamental value that they're doing good things and taking out abortion doctors. I mean, the really, truly extreme, everybody's anti-abortion. Yeah. But the anti-choice at such an extreme measure, and the sort of the one topic base that still exists out there, but they don't exist enough to get her elected. Right.
So my guess is that she was looking at her political future and saying, okay, I don't want to be governor. I don't want to go down to Juneau. You can't drive there. You got to fly there. I don't like to fly or whatever. It's a big hassle. She didn't show up for most of the last couple sessions. She's got a big embarrassment coming with she tries to turn down the federal funds. Mark Sanford did that. It blew up in his face.
Right. It was here as well. It was going to blow up on her.
Yeah. So she's just looking at a political future that ain't going to work in Alaska. In fact, it's going to diminish her ability to market herself. So she's going out at the top. If I was a career counselor, I'd be telling her right now, get out now. Get out while you're at the top. Don't wait until like Jerry Seinfeld did.
Right. And what we're seeing here in Alaska is her poll numbers have fallen. They had fallen almost 40 points.
Right.
since she was nominated. So, you know, she wasn't going to do better for herself here.
Right. But in Indiana, she's polling really, really well. So, interesting. Shannon Moore, ShannonMoore.wordpress.com, and, of course, over at Huffington Post and probably all over the Internet now. Shannon, it's always great talking with you.
You as well, Tom. Thanks so much.